Welcome to Listen to the Heartbeat with Aaron G. Listen to the Heartbeat is a platform where you matter, a platform where your voice will be heard. Today's special guest is Persephone. Persephone is going to be sharing with us what it's like being a 20-year-old in 2024. Persephone, the floor is yours.
I think 2024 for a 20-year-old is a confusing time, especially in this generation where our truths are really vague, and we're kind of having to learn as we go. And it's important that we hold on to the experiences that the people ahead of us had, but also we get so caught up in our own worlds and lives. I think just trusting yourself and has really helped me as a young adult kind of grow into my identity. And no one can really tell you your truth. And I think as a young adult, a lot of people are going to, and you kind of just have to stand firm in that teenager energy, that kind of rebelliousness of remembering no, I know what I'm talking about, I know what I feel, I know what I see, and not letting anybody else, no matter how old they are, take that away from you. Yeah.
So you mentioned a couple of things. You mentioned vague, you mentioned the elders, and you mentioned that, I guess that's a good lesson for me to learn, that y'all don't want to be told nothing. You can't tell me nothing. So what does it mean? What do you mean when you say it's kind of vague? Let's start there.
I think, well, to be honest, the vagueness in what's truth, in regards to what we're being fed, physically, mentally, and emotionally, our food, it says good for cholesterol, good for this, or sugar free, or no sugar added, just these words that sound nice, but really you have to have that connection and to get that deeper layer where there's poison in our food, there's things in that we can't control, that's just being shoved in our face. And even though we don't really have a choice with what we experience, in that kind of vagueness, there's going to be all sorts of things being shoved down our throats. We're going to have to kind of clear the air and really take what we're being told for granted, and kind of learn as you go, and learn from the people who are heard less. I think hearing people's voices who aren't the untold stories are a really good way to get that deeper understanding, full circle, kind of bigger picture kind of thing instead of the vagueness.
You gave a good description by using food as an aesthetic, but the description you gave, what came to mind was everything is not what it appears, and everything ain't what they tell us.
Yeah.
I appreciate you for that. Now, tell us why it's important to grasp some of the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the elders.
I think it's important because the times are changing, and we can learn a lot from what they had seen and behind closed doors, basically, history and culture and government, and segregation was not that long ago. Our families are direct, there were direct results of colonial expansion, and I think in order to really understand where we're coming from and where we're leading towards, we're going to have to look backwards.
So let me ask you a question, because I'm looking at you and I'm about to start laughing, right? Tell us about your background. like your family background, because you mentioned our elders and you mentioned how we can benefit from some of the direct experiences, like segregation was not that long, guys, right? And so tell us about your background. You're Cuban.
Yeah, so my background, Afro-Cuban. My dad is black and white. The Afro-Cuban. My grandpa, his dad, he was from, his parents were from Cuba. They met, but it goes back to Jamaica and Barbados. So they came, from colonial expansion, and then that migration to Cuba, met there, found love, wanted to escape what was kind of said to be made to be this whole communist thing in Cuba and all of this stuff. And so they left and came here. And then my mom's side is basically Mexican, indigenous, and Spanish, with some of that European, German mixed in there. So my family background comes a lot, my parents are both mixed, and they both experience, both sides of the history, and I think that with this merge of understanding, white and black, or, indigenous or Spanish, or, these bigger historic, relationships, and kind of see how it blends into me.